Well, it kind of feels like deja vu, doesn't it? For the second straight Saturday, the Firebirds are on home ice against their division rivals, the Sioux Greyhounds. Flint snapped the 3-game skid last night while the Sioux was grinding through a tough travel week and tough travel month. They're off back-to-back losses. Should be a fun one tonight. Here we go again for the Birds and the Hounds. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air. And it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show, driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you the story, I'm Brian Gardner. It's the Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds. Birds coming off of a casual 4-1 win last night over the Peterborough Petes. Flint struck twice in the first period. They never trailed as they snapped what was a 3-game losing streak with a 3-goal victory, 4-1 over Peterborough. And what was the Pete's only visit here to the Dort Financial Center this season last evening. On the flip side of the coin, the Sioux Greyhounds, we mentioned that they're right back in the mix after this was the matchup 1 week ago in this very same building, a game that the Sioux won in shutout fashion. Since then, though, things haven't gone great for the Hounds as they have been outscored a combined 9-1 in their last 2 games. A loss on Wednesday on home ice against London, had to jump on the bus and travel down to Kitchener on Thursday to play the Rangers yesterday. They were shut out 4-0, then made the drive from Kitchener here to Flint, where they now finish out their week of work. The Greyhounds, who have some of the rougher travel schedule in the OHL just based on where they're located up in the Sioux and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and it's not exactly friendly here this week. The Firebirds will hope they can capitalize on what could be a tired bunch of Hounds who also are a little bit banged up. We'll get to all that later on when we take a look at our players to watch and our starting lineups, but before we do that, let's look back at those games from yesterday. We begin in this building with the Firebirds and the Peterborough Petes. First period, it's Jimmy Lombardi to walk in. What a move. Lombardi Deeks evades the poke check and scores. That was the OHL's play of the night. What a play it was. Lombardi's 5th of the year. Birds take a 1-0 lead. Later in the first power play chance, Chris Thibodeau to jump on it. First chance blocked. Second chance sneaks through the 5-hole. Chris Thibodeau scores power play goal. That snapped a power play drought for the Birds. They've been over their last 15 on the man advantage before that one. 2-0 Firebirds. Second period though, stretch pass out to Gavin Bryant. In, top shelf, glove side, score. Beats Nathan Day, and the score is 2-1. On to the third we go, and in the third period, look what I found for Blake Smith. Puck popped to him, steps into it, ramped off the stick of the former Bird, Matthew Jenkins. Smith's 2nd of the year. The Firebirds take a 3-1 lead late in the third. They'll try and seal it. Chris Thibodeau to do so. 2nd of the game, empty netter for Thibodeau. Firebirds win it by a final score of 4-1. Nathan Day, 21 saves on 22 shots. The Sioux, we mentioned the Greyhounds were in Kitchener. First period for Kitchener. Matthew Andonovsky off the feed from Cameron Mercer. Andonovsky, the defenseman and the Senators prospect, all alone, top of the right circle. Snaps it past Landon Miller, and it's 1-0. Second period now, Rangers on the power play. Working the cycle. Over for Luca Romano. Alone, he was able to pick his corner. Watch him wait a beat at the left dot. Fires it top shelf, and he scores. Beats Miller on the blocker side, short side, made it 2-0. And later, it's trouble for Landon Miller. Misplays the puck. Look what I found all alone, Trent Swick. Now, Miller was pulled from the game after this. At this point, his team down 3-0. Enter Charlie Schenkel. Miller couldn't get back in time after the turnover. In the third, the Rangers, another one. Andrew Vermeulen beat Schenkel that time as Vermeulen lights the lamp. Just did it himself coming down the right wing. Little snapshot, wins it on the blocker's side. How about a shutout for Jackson Parsons, a 20-save shutout. Easy 4-0 win for Kitchener. Rangers take the victory there, so the Greyhounds, who are scuffling a little bit, losses in back-to-back, now have that -7 goal differential. This is a team that has struggled at times to keep the puck out of the net, but also at times more the issue has been not scoring. Their team defense is actually quite good overall in the season. Just these last 2 games, they haven't been able to keep the puck out of the net. Goaltending has been spectacular. Much like the Firebirds, they really struggle on the power play, 11.9%. These numbers really kind of look pretty similar. Really the major difference is the Birds a little bit better overall at keeping the opposition off the scoreboard. Taking a look at the Western Conference standings. Now, the Sioux 3 points ahead of the Firebirds. They're in a tie for 5th place with 18 standings points. The Birds have a game in hand there. Not that we're really focusing on that too much at this point of the season. Not quite at the quarter pole, as the Firebirds at 7-8-0-1 in 8th place. Greyhounds with 18 points at 9-8-0-0 in that tie for 5th place. So the Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds, and again, these two teams just played a week ago. Birds will be in the Sioux in 6 days. Next Friday, Flint heading right back up there as they're getting a lot of these games out of the way early. This is the 3rd game already this season between these two teams. Friday will be number 4 out of 6. Nice long gap between these two after that one. So we get a little bit of a break finally from one another. I'm sure some of the Greyhounds fans watching back at home are a little sick of seeing my face appear on their screen. But regardless, we'll bring it to you here this evening as the Firebirds and the Greyhounds, which should be an interesting matchup, especially with the Sioux in the midst of this tough stretch. The Birds, their 2nd consecutive weekend with a 3-3. So Flint trying to make it back-to-back wins off the win yesterday. Greyhounds trying to snap a back-to-back little 2-game skid. We're going to step aside when we come back on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. We'll tell you what's happening in terms of who's in the lineup, who's out, our players to watch, all that and more as we roll along here on the pregame show. Birds, Hounds, live from Flint on FHN.
All right, Chevy team, huddle up, huddle up. We really got to bring it this month. Banks, what do you got?
Lease a new Chevy Silverado for as low as $298 a month.
Go, Shea!
Theo, what do you got?
Lease the all-new 2020-25 Chevy Equinox for as low as $299 a month.
Go, Shea!
Connie, what do you got?
Lease a Chevy Blazer for as low as $289 a month.
Go, Shea!
Let's get the best deal for our past, present, and future customers. What do we say? What do we chant?
Just Shea!
We're live here on a Saturday night in Flint. Birds and the Sioux Greyhounds of the Dort Financial Center. Flint trying to make it back-to-back wins. They had that tough weekend last week, 3 losses in a row, during which they got just 1 goal. Seem to be back on track after a 4-1 win over the Peterborough Petes yesterday. Getting a look at today's lineups as we begin with the Sioux Greyhounds. Now, this is a team that is currently missing 5 players due to injury. They've got 2 forwards who are actually defensemen dressed here today, and they're skating a guy down. So only 11 forwards, and again, McConnell, Barker, and Valeris are both defensemen. They're missing some key guys up front. No Owen Allard, as it's been a team really bitten by injury, but Charlie Schenkel will be between the pipes. That's something the Birds aren't exactly happy to see. Get a look at our players to watch for today's contest. We'll begin on the Sioux Greyhounds side of things with Marco Mignosa. Now, Mignosa had 4 points in the win for the Sioux in this building 1 week ago last Saturday. He factored in on every goal, a goal and 3 assists. He's up to 11 points on the season in 7 games. Last season, he was nearly a point per game on the season. He played 57 games. He had 22 goals and 31 assists. Mignosa continues to be a producer in this Sioux Greyhounds lineup. Moving on to another guy who's been a big part of this team for a while, Justin Cloutier, the Ottawa native. You know what? He's never missed a game in the Ontario Hockey League. First 3 seasons, 68 games played, and each of them, he's appeared in all 17 of their games so far this season. So it's a 221 consecutive game played streak for Justin Cloutier. He had a goal against the Birds last week, 3 goals in his last 4 games. 8 goals does lead the Greyhounds in terms of putting the puck in the net. And to Brady Martin, number 3 overall pick in last season's OHL draft. He got an A on NHL Central Scouting's players to watch, the preliminary watch list. Now, he missed the game between these two teams last week. Brady Martin was out of the lineup, right back in for their next 2. He has been a little quiet lately. No points in his last 4 games, but 12 points on the season, 5 goals and 7 assists. A talented young player and a guy to keep an eye on basically anytime he's in the lineup for the Sioux Greyhounds. Let's get a look at the Firebirds and how they're lining up for things here today. The Birds, they're fully healthy. They've got their full component, and the key thing here is the OHL debut of Hayden Reed, who was signed to his contract on Monday after leaving the USHL Sioux Falls Stampede. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Birds have shuffled things up just a touch. Jack Darcy's back in the lineup for the Firebirds. No Artem Frolov today, as Flint has that Lombardi centering the top line with Aspinall and Kostov, and should be interesting here this evening for the Firebirds. Let's get a look at our player to watch. We've already mentioned him, Hayden Reed got the rookie lap. He went out there solo before the rest of his team, making his FIrebirds and Ontario Hockey League debut. Now, he talked about it with local media this week. He's really excited to play in the OHL for the first time. Grew up watching the OHL. He's an Ontario kid. Just delighted to be in this league, and because of the new rule just passed by the NCAA, he gets to play here and to keep his NCAA commitment. Set to play D1 hockey at the University of Minnesota. Brave new world in major junior hockey. On to Jimmy Lombardi. Now, Lombardi made some noise last night with a slick first period goal. If you were with us in our first segment of our pregame show here this evening, you saw it. He got OHL Player of the Night honors for that goal where he went backhand, forehand for his 5th goal of the season. He had been in a bit of a drought. That was his 5th goal of the season, but also his first point in his last 5 games. His 11 points this season are 3rd among the FIrebirds. And the blue line and Nolan Collins. Now, the interesting thing with Collins, and you saw it yesterday, he's wearing a cage. He and the aforementioned Jimmy Lombardi had a collision 1 week ago on this ice. Collins did not play on Sunday after that. Cut his nose up pretty bad. It's also nice and swollen, so he's got the cage for now. But the really thing about Nolan Collins is how steady he's been on the blue line. Big part of this FIrebirds team defense that has been superb this season. Really one of the most effective D-cores and goalie combos in the OHL, with this solid D-core combined with the FIrebirds' stellar play in net from Nathan Day. So the Birds and the Sioux Greyhounds, that's our scene, that's the stage. It has all been set here on a lovely Saturday evening at the Dort Financial Center. The Birds and the Hounds meeting up for the 3rd time this season, the 2nd time in a span of the 1 week, and Flint heading back up to the Sioux next week on Friday. So familiarity breeds contempt. We'll see if it gets a little testy between these two teams in front of what's supposed to be a nice crowd here on Military Appreciation Night in Flint. We're going to step aside right now. When we come back, we've got the starting lineup introductions, we've got national anthems, and you know what else we have? We got puck drop. That's the best part. FIrebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds getting set to go at it. This has been the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Birds and the Hounds coming up in just a few. Don't go anywhere. Live here on the FIrebirds Hockey Network.
Hello? Are you there? The Shea Megalot is hosting their annual pre-owned lease pull-ahead. Are you upside down on your trade? Over on your miles? We'll buy your car.
Don't just turn your lease in.
We'll buy your car.
Is your current payment too high?
We'll buy your car.
Trapped in your lease?
We'll buy your car.
Not in the market for a car?
We'll still buy your car.
Are your service bills adding up?
We'll buy your car.
Bad credit?
We'll buy your car. Plus, the Shea Megalot has over 500 pre-owned and certified vehicles to choose from. Just saying.